All right, you guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. Nick, I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm not on camera. I ended up having to run to all of the way across from Idaho to Minnesota to help my mom who fell and broke her hip. So I'm not in my normal location and en route actually from an appointment. So thank you in advance for being patient with that. But you're going to have the whole time available to do the training anyways. I typically just make the intro and then provide this great service and all of the great talent to our group. So we have people that join us live, as you noticed here on Zoom. We also record it. It's out on my YouTube channel. We send that out to everybody and then we live stream it into and put the recording both in our group of 9,500 agents. So I'll just continue to let people in when they join. I will send you the recording if you want to do anything with it. This is really I'm really appreciative of this, and I know you're busy, so your time is valuable. We typically keep it to about 45, 50 minutes, just because of other people's time, but yours as well. And it can be shorter than that. So whatever you have, we're grateful to be able to take advantage of it. And I'm super excited because I've been doing these calls for 2 years. 2.5 years straight. We've been doing them for a long time, every single Wednesday. And what we found is that, there's a lot of trainings people can go to. We need them to actually take action. So we've moved our trainings to once a month so people can learn something and actually go do something with it. And then come back and learn something else. And so I'm being even, more specific on the topics that we're bringing to our agents. And I'm just really excited about the topic that you're going to share with us because, finding ways in order to continue to service more and more clients is the key to all of our success. So as you guys all know, we're going to learn about marketing funnels from an expert. I'm definitely not that, so I'm going to be learning along with you guys. And because I'm in a little bit of a different format the normal, Nick, if you wouldn't mind starting out, just giving a little bit of a background of yourself, that would be wonderful. And then I'm going to let you just take it away. And everybody here, go ahead and chat in the chat box, raise your hand if you have questions. And Nick, I will also, at the end, please put all of your information, any information on trainings you provide or coaching or anything paid or unpaid. We want you to be able to promote what you do to all of us. So please put that in the chat box and I'll make sure to get it out to everybody as well.
Sounds good. Cool.
Awesome. Thank you again.
Of course. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get started here, folks. So thank you for having me. My name is Nick Niehaus. I'll just do a quick introduction. So I started this company, Business Video School, with a few other co-founders about 4.5 years ago. If you can think back a little bit about what happened 4.5 years ago, that was the beginning of the pandemic. So basically my background before that was I'm a video production business. We're doing that for years. I love video. I've probably made 4,000 videos myself, not to mention all the videos we made with customers. So we were doing a lot of video, helping people in the studio. One thing we sort of immediately recognized in that process is how challenging it was for a lot of our customers, a lot of which were real estate agents. So they come in, they're making their first video ever, very nervous, very uncomfortable. So we started to develop a training program for how they could get started making even simpler videos that sort of were less intense. And then that kind of led to an entire 12-week course that turned into Business Video School. And then the pandemic hit, shut down our video production business, and we launched. We had like 800 students within about 3 months, and we haven't looked back since, I guess you could say. So I like to give that context because I do want to point one thing out here before I start. We're going to talk about real estate video marketing funnels today. That is a high-level video skill. So this is not necessarily the kind of thing I would start with if you're new to video. All right. So, and in fact, if you want to tell me in the chat what your experience level is with video, I mean, I can even adjust sort of how I present this today based on that. That sort of information is always helpful. It also, make sure you're hearing me and all that good stuff. But this is going to be relatively high level, right? So if you're going to go through this with me today and you're going to feel a little bit overwhelmed, or you're going to feel a little bit like, wow, that's a lot of kind of moving parts, because it is. Just remember, if you're looking to get started with video and start doing things with video, there are much, much easier places to start. So on that side, as I get into this now, I will at the end, I will mention to you kind of a natural next step. We actually have a 7-day video challenge. It starts in about a week. It is free to participate in. There are 3 sessions. We're going to teach you how to make a video from scratch, show you every single step of the process, and then how to share that video to start generating attention and getting some business, right? So I'm not going to talk more on that yet. I'll come back to it at the end. But if you see this and you're like, wow, that's a lot, but I really kind of want to get started somewhere, that's probably a good fit, right? So getting into this today, what I want to start out with here is kind of kind of this question to think about. Now, you don't have to necessarily answer this in the chat, but I want you to think about it for your business, right? And that is, do you really need a marketing funnel? Because a lot of businesses don't have one, right? I mean, just being quite honest, our business does. When we started, we didn't, right? So those 800 students that we were able to attract in the first 3 months had a lot to do with pandemic shutdowns, obviously. But a big reason that we sort of able to do that is, it just sort of got started, and we did a lot of organic stuff. And what we realized over time is that we needed to have this funnel, right? So now almost all of our new customers come from a structured paid advertising funnel, right? So I'm not only showing you this sort of theoretically for your business, I'm also showing it to you in the sense that this is stuff we're very much doing ourselves. So not everybody has to have a funnel, right? If you have a pretty straightforward referral-based business and things are going well and you're getting all the business you need, you don't necessarily need one, right? So let's talk about who might want to think about building a funnel, because again, this is going to be a fair amount of steps, and I want you to feel like you have to go do this right away if you're not in this situation, right? So first, let's just give you 3 examples, 3 agents, and kind of the situation you might be in. Agent A is not making any video content. Now, you don't have to tell me in the chat if you're agent A, B, or C. You can if you want, but you can keep that private if you'd like. But think about this, right? Which of these 3 agents do you kind of line up with, right? So agent A is not making any video content. The problem is, and this is something I'm not talking a lot about today, but when we see someone's face, it activates part of our brain that does not turn on when we have a phone call, when we see a text-based form of communication, like a text or an email. So that's where video really differentiates you, right? It allows you to build relationships with people that other forms of communication don't. So again, I could go into that for an entire training. I won't, but that's what's happening to Agent A, is that they're falling behind, right? This is somebody who is maybe doing some productive marketing, maybe sending some emails to their sphere of influence, some texts, going to some marketing, some networking events, things like that. The problem is that all those people in their database 5 years ago, they were not really seeing much from other agents, right? Maybe some social media posts. Now there's a good chance they're seeing videos of those agents. And when we see video, we're able to start to develop what's called a parasocial relationship, right? We start to sense this sort of feeling of familiarity. In fact, it's kind of dangerous. This stuff's fascinating. If you just simply show up in front of other people in video and you show them your face on a regular basis, they will automatically start to know, like, and trust you. It doesn't even really matter what you say, because it's this familiarity effect where the more often we see somebody, the more we automatically like them. And it's very instinctual. It comes from, thousands of years ago when we used to live in these small tribes, right? And everything around us was really dangerous. So you had to be able to immediately recognize if you knew somebody or you didn't. And now we use it for marketing purposes, right? That's a lot of marketing is, unfortunately. So that's Agent A. They're falling behind. They may have started to see things where, like, they had somebody in their sphere they knew was going to move, and they thought they were going to hire him, and all of a sudden they see him posting on Facebook about how they already bought a house with another agent. That agent, Agent A, doesn't necessarily realize yet why they're not getting those deals, right? Because you can't see the kinds of video that your customers are seeing from other agents, right? I mean, you're not seeing their social media feed. So moving on, Agent B, this is where a lot more agents are at this point, right? Which is making video content, but it's random. So this is somebody who has some awareness, right? You're getting some attention, you're maybe getting a little bit of engagement. The problem is that you're having trouble converting leads. And a lot of it is probably because this agent is not being consistent or structured in the way they're trying to attract business. And that's obviously what a funnel is, right? Agent C, and the thing I want to point out here is Agent C is somebody who doesn't need this training, okay? So if you're in this situation, I don't like to tell people to leave. You don't have to leave by any means. But if you already have an entire marketing funnel built and a system in place, you're in great shape, right? I would imagine that if you are Agent A or B, one thing I will tell you is you should have time available, right? Because if business is not going as well as you would like it, that should be because, there's some openings there, right? There's some time you have open to do these things. If you are fully busy and you don't have any time to make any video content or work on your business, but you're not getting the deals you need, there's something you need to cut out, right? So not to get into that too much, but that's where that time can come from to make the videos that we're going to be talking about over the next few minutes, right? So here's the thing, right? If you're not in Agent C's boat, the reason this stuff is so important is something you all have seen, okay? And I want to be clear about this. There is a lot of noise out there, right? I mean, like it is insane how many things we see on a given day. And in fact, our brains in a lot of ways are not really geared for this stuff, right? I mean, this is the kind of stuff where like we're seeing thousands of social media posts, we're driving by billboards, we're seeing television ads. We can't process all of it, right? So when you see that much information on a given day, your brain has to sort of sort it out, right? It has to start to filter the things that you're seeing. What happens is if you're making generic posts or not making, any sort of posts, not doing anything to promote your business in a structured way, that noise, all that attention that all these other people, it's not even just other realtors, all the other businesses in the world are all competing for the attention of the customers, right? So if you're not being specific, if you're not being intentional, if you're not making content that's directed at your ideal customer, we will talk about how to do that, right? You are going to get drowned out. It's that simple, right? So that's the main thing I want you to take away from this. Yes, you're gonna have an idea of how a funnel is structured, what kinds of videos to put in it. If I have time, I'll even show you how to get some of the Facebook ads set up, which is actually not that hard. But the main thing I want you to take away from this is not all that. It's that, hey, if you can be intentional about who you're trying to attract and you can make content that appeals to that specific person, you will cut through the noise. It's that simple. Okay. So we'll talk more on that, but that's probably the number one thing you want to be thinking about as we go through this training is who is that ideal customer? Now, once you know who that person is, and we're going to talk about that more in a second, the next thing is we got to start to think about their journey. All right. Now, this is what a marketing funnel essentially is. And I've been studying marketing my entire career. I got a degree from Washington University in St. Louis for it was actually entrepreneurship, but it incorporated a lot of marketing. And then ever since then, I worked in marketing. Okay. So I've been doing this for like 20 years at this point. And I'll tell you right now, once you can understand your ideal customer's journey, you can build a very effective marketing funnel. It's that simple, right? So once you know who they are, then you start to figure out what is the experience that they typically go through, right? So let me kind of give you an example here. Let's say that your ideal customer is somebody who's been through a divorce. Maybe that's your specialty. And if it isn't, then that's fine, right? Just kind of use this example to understand the concept here. There's obviously certain things that that person is going to experience leading up to when they need an agent, right? So it's the point where they need a real estate agent is not at the moment they decide to get divorced. It's probably weeks or months after that, right? It's probably not before they decide they're getting divorced, right? It's going to be at some point when sort of the natural progression gets to that level. However, what you can do is you can look back at all of the other steps that lead to that decision. And this is where a lot of small businesses make a big mistake. They try to get in front of people right at the moment they need their product or service, right? Like another example would be a roofing company, right? A lot of roofing companies, they wait until the hailstorm and then they're all out there talking about, hey, I want to come fix your roof. Hail just came through, hit us up. Well, some of those roofing companies realize, okay, it's going to hail every so often in these areas, every so many years. What if we had some awareness in those marketplaces? What if we understood, some of the things that sort of trigger the decision? Maybe we can teach people how to look at their roofs and sort of get a sense of whether or not there was damage from a storm. That might lead them to doing an analysis. But then, a couple days later, when they decide and they talk to their spouse that, there was damage, they're going to call you up, right? So there's all different examples of this. So back to the example of a divorced person, right? I mean, it's a sad situation, but you can help them throughout that process, right? You can be involved. You can be sharing information. A lot of times, an agent that specializes in something like divorce probably went through a divorce, right? So maybe you're sharing content that's helping people understand, what the legal process looks like, or how to make adjustments so it doesn't happen in the first place, or whatever it might be. Okay. The main point, though, is that if you understand the customer, you can understand the process they go through to decide that they need your product or service, and you can show up in front of them earlier in that process. That's all you're going for here, okay? So thinking about that, how does this sort of get distilled into a structure? All right, so these are the 5 steps of a funnel. You may have seen funnels that are 3 steps, 10 steps, 7. There's a lot of different versions of this concept. The main thing I want to explain here is think about the shape for a second, right? Why is it called a funnel? And the reason it's called a funnel is because it starts wide at the top, where you're trying to get the awareness of as many of your ideal customers as possible, right? So those people that fall into this category, their profile matches the profile of your ideal customer, right? If you live in a city with, let's say I live in the St. Louis area, is about 3 million-ish, a little bit less people in the greater St. Louis area. if I'm honest with myself about who my ideal customer is, it might be 10,000 of those people, maybe 20,000. It's going to be a pretty specific segment, but it's still going to be a large group of people. So that's awareness, right? Awareness is I want every single one of those people to know that I exist, right? To be aware that I exist and that my business eventually, that's the next step, right? That the business exists as well. That's the first step, okay? Now, the reason it's a funnel is that a lot of those people don't need help with real estate right now, right? So you're going to get less people in the next stage. So the next stage is consideration. Consideration is where you want that customer or that prospect, I should say, to start to think about you and your business, right? So they meet you at stage one. Stage two is I'm starting to get to know you. Maybe I'm going to see some case studies of your customers, some testimonials, behind the scenes type videos that sort of show me what it's going to be like to work with you. And that's going to be the people who are considering a real estate transaction, right? Somebody that's maybe looking at a job across the country, but they're not sure if they're going to move yet or not. Somebody that, is hoping to get a raise here and be able to afford a bigger house. So that's a decent sized group of people, but it's not as many as is the awareness, right? So it kind of tapers down. Then it's conversion, and you can see where this is going at this point, right? So conversion is where the person signs up to work with you, right? This is where we're asking for the business. We're inviting somebody to an event. Maybe they're downloading a guide that we created or something like that. And we're just trying to get into a sales conversation at that point, right? So the structure you're going to see me kind of go over here is going to be those 3 steps, those 3 videos, and then now you have the lead and now you're talking to the person. Okay, so that's as far as I'll kind of get you today. There are 2 other steps I'm not going to go into a lot right now. We do cover a lot inside the school: loyalty and advocacy, right? So once somebody is a customer, you need them to come back 5, 7, 10 years from now when they want to move again, right? Well, that's not hard to do with video, because when you're showing up in front of them, you're implanting your face in their brain over and over again, and you'll be the face they remember first when they need to sell their house again in the future. That's done through things like video messages and FAQ videos that you're sending out to your database. That stuff's pretty easy. And then advocacy, right? This is the gold standard. If you can get your customers to go out and advocate for you, you will get more referrals. You're going to get more leads coming in. You're going to convert your leads for less money because your name is going to be out there. People are going to recognize it more easily. That's really, really good stuff, right? So that's the ultimate goal. Funnel's not just about getting somebody to do a sort of one-time deal with you. It's about getting them to become a loyal customer, and then even in some cases, not all of them will, but an advocate for your business, right? To be clear, we're going over the first 3 today. All right, so let's go on. I kind of made that point already. So there's a few things you're going to need to know how to do to build your funnel. Okay, you're going to need to know how to talk to your audience and what they need. We already talked about that a little. We'll talk on it more. You need to be able to create engaging videos. So I'm going to give you ideas for the videos today, but if you can't make any kind of video, you need to learn how, right? I mean, that's going to be part of this. You got to make sure your videos are seen by the right people. That's going to be typically done with ads. It can be done with things like partnerships or even organic social media. What I've found is the most reliable approach to making sure that you're getting in front of the right people is targeted advertising, right? And that's why it's there. You got to deliver value. So that's a big part of this is what are you sharing with people? It's going to help them get to this point. You got to have a lead conversion system. I won't cover that today because that's just sort of too much to go over in 45 minutes, but you got to have something in place that you're going to follow up with the leads once you get them. And then this is going to keep you top of mind with current and past customers, right? So there's a lot here. I understand all that. That's why I tried to preface this with like, look, funnels are complicated. This is a high level skill. But once you build this, you're ultimately going to have the system that you need in order to attract customers on a regular basis, which I think is super powerful, right? So let's get into it. They'll go through this process because in the end, it's actually not all that complicated. It might sound very complicated, but there's a couple things you do that are not easy. They're going to take some work. But once they're done, not only is this funnel going to be effective and work really well for your business, it's also going to spill over into other areas of what you do. All right. That's kind of my favorite part of this first step is that once I have defined my ideal customer, that affects everything else I do, right? It's going to help me build a funnel, but it's going to also help me in all other areas of my marketing. It's going to help me with my networking. If you're like me, like I used to be in a BNI chapter, a lot of you are probably familiar with that, but weekly networking, right? When you go in, you're supposed to tell people as close to exactly as possible who you're trying to attract, right? Like they always used to give us the example, if you go in and say, hey, I want anybody that needs to buy or sell a house, they don't think of anybody. If you say, I specialize in helping doctors who just recently sold their practices and they're looking to buy a bigger home because they just got a big windfall of cash, if anybody knows a doctor who just sold their practice, they are going to think of that person, right? So this affects all these other areas in your life. Now we're going to talk about it from the perspective of how, like, what to talk about, right? This is going to define what you're saying in your videos, and it's also going to help you understand how to reach these people. All right. So I got a question for you. I'm always curious to hear this, and the answers have started to change over the past couple years. Let me know in the chat right now if you've ever done this, where you've defined your ideal customer. It doesn't have to be this specific, right? But you have at least written down a few details about who your ideal customer is, right? Some information about them. So just say yes or no in the chat right now, because I'm curious to see this. If it's a no, I'm not here to judge you. There's nothing wrong with not having done this. A lot of agents haven't. If it's a yes, good for you, right? Because that means you already got some of this sort of taken care of, and you might be a bit ahead of the curve. So let me see what everybody's saying here. So a couple of you say yes. So far, all yeses. That's good to see. So I can skip this section. If everybody feels like I have a customer avatar, I have this figured out. If it's a no and you want to, I'll skip a couple slides here, right? So if it's no, you need to say it right now, because otherwise, let's just move on, right? If you got a customer avatar, we got nothing else to cover here. So I'll give you a few more seconds. Otherwise, we can skip a couple slides. All right, I'm moving on, folks. So you got your customer avatar. Here's what you're going to do with it, all right? You need to define your interests and pain points. Okay, this is a step a lot of people have never really thought about. Your customer avatar's interests and pain points, which I think you all probably have figured out at this point, right? So what is it that they care about? What are their interests? What are their passions? Where do they spend their time? And then also, what are the painful experiences that they may have gone through, right? Those are key parts of having a customer avatar. So and when I say pain points, like you might think real estate related pain points. Oh, they just, there's a death in the family, they're selling the house, whatever it might be. That's true. Those are pain points. But also think about just their personal life. What are some things that they might have experienced in their personal life that are painful? They might be currently going through. Like I'll give you another example. Let's say you want to work with people that are upsizing because they just had their third kid, right? Or another kid. We'll just keep it a little more generic. So they have a kid, they got to move into a bigger home, right? Well, there's a lot of pain points that are not directly real estate pain points that happen when you have a kid. Like I just had my first kid about 10 months ago. It's been absolutely awesome. Our lives are obviously substantially different, and there's a lot of things in that experience that are challenging, right? And so if a real estate agent, had been sharing content talking about some of those painful experiences or those challenges, I would be paying attention, right? So that's one side. The other side is your interests and pain points. And the reason this is so important is that making videos is not always easy, right? It is a lot easier when you are talking about things that matter to you. So if you just look at your customers' interests and pain points and you start talking about things they like but you don't care about, you're gonna suck. Your videos aren't gonna be that good, right? You're not gonna be engaging. You're not gonna want to make more of them. You're not gonna get excited when people are responding to you, right? So like if your ideal customer is a huge baseball fan, but you don't find baseball interesting at all, don't force yourself to make videos about baseball, right? This is where the overlap comes in. So you look at what they have, what it is they care about, you find what you care about, what you've dealt with in your life, and you find the overlap. And what that's going to give you are what we call content pillars, right? Here's what makes the rest of what you do in your marketing so easy is that these topics are now the only topics you really need to ever talk about. Can you talk on other things? Yeah, if you want to, right? But I would really encourage you to stay pretty focused on these core topics, because what happens when you do this is now that ideal customer, that profile that you've built, that you've outlined, this person that you want to attract, every single thing you ever share resonates with them, right? Pretty powerful. So again, we talked about those 3 million people and the 10,000 that you ultimately want to be in front of. Those 10,000 people, every single time one of your videos pops up or any kind of content you're making, they care, right? Oh my gosh, this is the 5th video I've seen from this Nick guy in weeks, and like every single one of them is something that I'm interested in. It feels like what you're doing fits them perfectly, like a glove that was made just for them. It does not take long for them to start to see you as their future realtor versus anybody else they know, right? This is what we might call like, personalized marketing, right? Or, marketing that's a little more, catered to the individual. This is what all the biggest businesses in the world have been doing for decades. Even the largest companies in the world do this with their advertising, right? I mean, think about Walmart, right? Walmart's one of the largest retailers. I think they may be the number one sort of overall volume retailer in the world, and they still have a specific niche, right? I mean, they are not selling a lot of high-end items, expensive stuff in Walmart. They're catering to a certain group of people, right? So if the biggest companies in the world do it, we as small businesses need to start thinking about it too. And what's happening right now is we're in the middle of a transition. When I asked that question 3-4 years ago, no one had an avatar. No one had a profile. Now a lot of people do, right? So if we can define those topics, the rest of this is a lot easier, okay? If you try to build a marketing funnel and you don't know what your content pillars are, if you don't know what you're going to be talking about in your videos, you will spin your wheels forever, because you will make content that somebody else tells you, right? Oh, that agent made a cool video, I'm going to copy that. If you can filter that through the idea of, does this fit my customer or not, then that's fine, right? But if you're just picking stuff randomly, you're going to attract this group of people one day and then a different group the next day. And that's not good. You want to make sure you're always appealing to that same core group. All right. Once you have that, let's build out the funnel, okay? One of the things we're going to do is we're going to do this a little bit backwards. This is maybe a little counterintuitive, but we're going to start with conversion, right? So conversion, the reason we start with conversion, which is technically that middle step of the 5 that I showed you earlier, is that conversion it's where people opt in, right? They give you their contact information, and that's the most important part of this. And right now, for a lot of you, you're probably looking to scrounge up a couple more deals, right? Market's been pretty heavily down for a year or two now, and we're looking for business, right? So let's get straight to trying to get that business. Let's start with conversion, right? So here's what we want to do. The thing you got to do at the conversion stage is you need to think about something valuable you can give away for free, all right? A lot of times your brokerage or the coaches you work with or somebody that's, part of the network you're in already will have these for you. So maybe you have like a library of downloadables that somebody provides, or, you've got an ebook that somebody wrote that they gave you. These are some examples of what you might want to look into, right? So a couple that we've developed in the past with our company is things like smart financial strategies for first-time buyers. If you can imagine seeing an ad like that, if you are a first-time buyer, that's going to appeal to you. If you're not, why would you care, right? It's not for you. Again, catering this stuff to the ideal customer. The ultimate guide to home staging for sellers. Well, if you're looking to get in front of sellers, that's going to appeal to some of them. Maybe not all of them, right? But the ones that are, again, in that category you're looking for. And then this other one, this third one here, this one's an example of something that's a little bit less on the nose, right? So declutter and thrive, ingenious home organization hacks for a better living space. Now, what are we doing there, right? People that want to declutter, people are looking to sort of do a deep clean on their house. That correlates pretty strongly with folks that are looking to downsize, right? The last kid just moved out. My parents were going through this over the past few years. They haven't sold the house yet, but they might be. But my sister, I have a younger sister, 7 years younger, so she had come back after a couple years overseas. She lived with them for a few years. Recently, moved out like 2 years ago now, and they've been gradually doing this, right? Like every time I see them, there's like another box of my childhood stuff they're bringing over to hand to me. And so they would probably find something like that attractive. And all of a sudden, once that house is emptied of all those items and it feels too big, well, guess who they're going to think of? They're going to think of the agent that not only gave them that guide, but has continued to now be in a conversation with them, right? So this is what you're looking at here at this stage. This is not meant to be a major commitment, right? If you do this correctly, it's kind of a minor thing. They give you their contact information, right? And then now they're in your database and you can market to them, okay? Now, I'm going to show you a list here. This is where, again, I warned you, funnels can be complicated, but you got to have something to give away, which is typically like an ebook. You are going to want to make a video, like something, a piece of content. What I like to do here, I think the easiest form of video for this is put the front page of your guide behind you on a green screen video, which you can do with things like CapCut and TikTok really easily, and just record yourself talking about why somebody might want it. Hey, I got this free guide for you. It's going to help you learn how to declutter your house. It's like 30 pages, really detailed. It's got everything you need. You need to click the button and download it right now. All right. You're going to have an email response that goes out after that. Okay. Right. So you want to make sure you send them the guide. And then you're going to also maybe want to have some other pieces of content, right? Some graphics. You can see examples on the screen here, right? Like a post graphic, things like that, right? There's a lot there. Okay. So this is not something you're going to build in just an hour. It might take you a few, maybe even a few days. But imagine once you have it, imagine once you have this particular stage in your funnel done, now you can put this out immediately, right? And that's the idea, is that we build this system. And again, if I have time, I'll show you the ad version of how you deliver this. But you build the system, you put it out there, and then anybody who's currently thinking about buying or selling sees it, and you have a chance to immediately start capturing leads. If we do it the other way around, if we build awareness, then consideration, and then conversion, that might take us months to get all that put together, and we're basically missing out on the sort of lowest hanging fruit, right? The people that are ready to move, and we're already thinking about you a little bit, but you just needed to do something to push them over the line, right? So we're going to start there. Then we're going to move our kind of way backwards, right? See, I saw in the chat here was the question about a recording being available. Well, we are going to record. This is being recorded, if that's the question, I believe. So you should be able to get a copy of it. Let's see here. Steps, consideration stage, moving on, right? Okay, next step, we're going to move again backwards. So now we're going to conversion. Consideration. These words are too similar, right? So consideration, what do we want to do there? This one's, I think, easier. I think this is where you're going to probably do the thing that's most natural to you, which is to basically talk about your business, right? I mean, most real estate agents, when we have them come into our studio over the years, the first thing they want to do is just tell people how to hire them, right? Or sort of tell a story about how they help their customers, things like that. That's, I think, what works at the consideration stage, because this is the stage, keeping in mind, they've seen you, or they will have seen you once you build your awareness videos, right? So they'll kind of have some familiarity. The experience will be more like, oh, hey, I saw that video the other day. What else is this person saying, right? So you've kind of earned the right to start to be a little bit promotional. When we get to awareness, you're going to see how you earned that right, okay? So where we want to focus on here is things like why I specialize in serving this area. Maybe a day in my life as a real estate agent. I've had a lot of agents tell me, like, I don't see why that's interesting. I spend half my day doing paperwork, whatever. It doesn't matter. People love to see that behind the scenes, right? They love to have that sense that they know what it's gonna, that they've experienced, felt, right? Feeling. It's all about feeling here. They felt what it would be like to work with you. And so if you have that, I mean, it's almost like you just have an assistant or one of your real estate friends follow you around for a day with a camera and record a couple clips here and there. Maybe when you're working with a customer, but when you're not, and then you cut it down, you make a short little highlight, 1 minute, something like that, and then you're done. And again, I know that I prefaced all this by saying you got to know how to make a video to be able to build a video funnel, right? So if that sounds complicated, you're going to want to go make some other videos first. You can work your way up to it. It's not. It's actually not that complicated, right? Then I'll tell you right now, the way to do it is you just record a very few clips. You stage them, right? You try to make it sort of set up like you're recording a TV show. So hey, you're going to walk from there to there. You're going to fill out this piece of paper. That's it. And then you just chop them up and put them together, okay? That's a great consideration video. I will tell you one more, which is if you can get a customer to say a few nice things about you on camera, a testimonial video, that might be even better because it's a third-party testimonial, right? They're not easy to do, so I don't usually recommend starting there because a lot of folks will just say simply too much. They will tell like a 10-minute story, and it's very hard to cut that down. So there's some coaching that goes into it. There's a little bit of process there, but a testimonial video is really powerful at that stage. And then the third stage here, like I said, we're going backwards, is awareness. So now what we have to do, and this is a little bit tricky here, this is where we have to think back to that profile, right? That avatar. What were those content pillars? And you can make more than one of these. I think one of the easiest ways to think about the awareness stage is to ask yourself, what is something in my community that my ideal customer already loves, right? That's it. What is it in my area, in my community, that my ideal customer is already a huge fan of, okay? If I was your ideal customer, I'll give you a few examples of that, right? There's a restaurant down the street. It was just ranked on Yelp as the #2 restaurant in the entire country. It's called Menurui. It's a ramen shop, and it's amazing. I love this place. If you show me a video of that restaurant, I am going to stop and watch it, all right? Another example is our local soccer team. We have a new MLS team, started about a year ago, about a year and a half old at this point. They're not doing very well this season. But if you make a piece of content, if you talk about that team, you've got my attention, right? What happens when you do this is that affection, that familiarity with that existing organization transfers somewhat in a small way to you because we immediately see that we have something in common. So if this agent went into Menurui and made a video and then posted another video about the soccer team and then, I don't know, one more about the great parks we have around us here in town, I'm paying attention. That agent has me locked in. I am looking forward to their next video because it all feels like it was meant for me because it was, right? That's the whole point of this entire process. So if you do this right, when you start the process with your awareness stage, right? When you put this first video out in front of people, that affection, that familiarity is already building momentum, right? So when they see, as I mentioned earlier, right? Now when they see the consideration video where you're showing them what it was like to work with you, that day in the life type of stuff or a testimony or whatever it might be, they're already liking you a little bit. They're going, oh yeah, that's that agent that just did that tour of Menurui. That was really cool. So yeah, who do they? Okay, they worked with, and wow, this person they worked with feels like they sound a lot like me, right? They're sort of near my age. They moved to the same areas. They have similar interests. Huh? Consideration. I'm considering you, right? And then I get your offer after that. Right now, I'm getting that free downloadable guide. Here's your seller guide, whatever it might be. If I'm thinking about moving, I'm gonna want it because it's coming from you, and that's where this stuff gets very powerful. If someone downloads your content because they want to hear more from you, you got them. You don't even have to sell these people, right? When you do this, this is my favorite part of marketing funnel, or sorry, video, specifically video marketing funnels, is that by the time you have a conversation with these prospects, they have already hired you. You are not convincing them of anything, okay? There is not a conversion process. And I know a lot of times in real estate, you can sit down, kind of close somebody on the first meeting, but they're done. That's already happened before the meeting, okay? And that is an incredible feeling. And it makes your business run a lot more smoothly because you're not ever spending any time trying to convince people that you're going to do a good job for them. They're coming in looking forward to working specifically with you because you've already started to build a relationship with them, right? I think that's what's so cool about video funnels. And I don't know that exactly happens with any other kind of funnel, okay? All right, we only have a few minutes left. I know we don't go too much past 45 minutes or so. So let me hop over onto Facebook. I do have a few minutes to show this to you. And there's really just one thing in particular that I want you to, well, let me show you two parts of this, all right? So I'm gonna jump around just a little bit because I don't necessarily need to do a full demo of a Facebook ad for you. But if you create a new campaign, you can actually create a campaign that is designed to get leads, right? So that's the one we want. So we start there. Like I said, I'm gonna move a little quick here because I just want to show you the last step in this process. But we set up our campaign. Obviously, it needs to be housing, so I'll select that. The next step, we're going to have a chance, make sure this is checked, right? This is the part I want you to see. Instant forms. These are really cool. So you got instant forms checked. You're going to set your budget. You can start as low as $1 a day. So this can be very affordable for you. And then you're going to also choose your targeting. The only thing you're going to change is the city, right? The area that you're specifically trying to target. So I might type in here, St. Louis, Missouri. And that's going to come up there. Oh, there it is. And there we go. So I'm targeting my city, 15-mile radius. Great. And then we're to the last step, all right? This is the part I want to show you, right? So this is where we create our ad. We're going to put our video in here. We're going to describe what it is we're giving away, all that stuff, right? Again, you're going to have a video that explains the guide. You're going to write just a couple sentences about, hey, are you thinking about selling your house? Well, I created this 30-page guide. It's going to show you every single step you need to go through, whatever it is, right? But keep it simple, keep it short. Then this is the part I really wanted to show you here, which is at the bottom, you're going to have what's called an instant form. And this is what they look like. So let me continue to scroll down here, right? So this is what they're going to see. So they see your video, right? They click, yes, I want the thing. I'm going to download it. Okay, great. Now they're on this. They're not leaving Facebook. So there's no load time. There's no chance to get distracted by being pulled out of the Facebook ecosystem. And so they see, okay, here's your thing you want to give away. They click the continue button. The next thing they get is a form. You choose what information you want. If you want their name, email, phone number, address, length of time in the house, whatever you want, you can ask for. The more you ask for, the less leads you get, the better they tend to be, right? Because people have to go through more of a process. When they do this, though, this is probably the coolest part. This is going to automatically fill with their contact information from Facebook, right? So they don't have to even type anything in. So, if you don't know this, Facebook is an advertising platform. That's what it is as a company, right? They talk about, oh, we're the social media, we got this social. Now they're an advertising platform. That's where they make almost all of their money, okay? So they have a lot of really cool features in here, and they want to make this as effective as possible for you. Not saying I like Facebook in a lot of other ways, but I have definitely been able to use it to grow my business. So they fill this in. They probably don't have to fill it in at all. They click that slide to submit, and they're done. And on the last page here, you can either give them the freebie you're giving away. I don't recommend that. I actually prefer to email it to them. It forces them to open the email, which is great for your email deliverability. But you can put whatever you want here, right? Hey, thanks for signing up. Check your email. You should see an email coming from me here in a few minutes. By the way, in the meantime, go check out my page and take a look at some of my reviews or whatever it is, right? Click here for a personal, for a video message explaining what the next steps are going to look like or showing you how to use the guide. That might be a good follow-up, okay? That's it then. So you set this up, you publish it, and now what's happening is that third video, the video that you made that is the conversion stage video, is being shown in that area. And what'll happen is over time, it's going to learn who you're trying to attract, which is another cool thing about these targeted ads. It's going to put this video in front of people, see who engages with it, and then show it to more people who are just like them. And it's that simple, right? Over time, it tends to get more and more affordable, which is good, right? So if you don't have great results the first day, let it run for a few more days, a few more weeks. A lot of times it's a few more months, and you will gradually see that cost per lead come down. All right, so one other really quick thing. I know this is a lot to cover in one training, but just one other thing I'll just show you really quickly here that I think is really awesome is one last thing you can do is you can create audiences of people who have seen the previous video. Okay, so you come in here, you click on create audience. It's a custom audience, and it's a video audience, right? So again, this isn't like a full demo. I'm just kind of letting you know it's here. But what this allows me to do is I can say, look, I want everybody who's seen 10 seconds of a video in the past year. I would probably change this to like 30 days, and the year is a long time, right? So 30 days, and then I pick the video from my account. I come in here and, I don't know which, I got a lot of pages in here. I'll just grab a random one and see what's on there. So like this video, okay, I'm going to select this video. Everybody who's watched at least 10 seconds of that video is now in this dedicated audience. What that allows me to do is build a series. So now I can guarantee if someone watches my awareness video, they're going to start to see my consideration video. If they watch my consideration video, they're going to start to see my conversion video, right? And if they watch that one, but they didn't sign up for some reason, I can continue to advertise to them and stay in front of them. So this is very powerful stuff, right? I mean, it's all the demo I'm going to do for now because I know we got to get wrapped up, and I don't want to confuse you any further than you might be already. But I do want to really encourage you, if you're not ready to start here, that's okay. I don't think a lot of people should. I think you should learn to make a decent video, right? Get some experience under your belt. Video is a form of communication. It is not a marketing tool. It's much bigger and much broader than that. And you just simply need to be sending video messages, wishing people happy birthday with a video, doing things that are personalized, that are low pressure and very easy to make. As you get more experience and you build that confidence, then you can get into these levels, right? If you're already there, if you're already making videos, you're feeling good about it, then you can jump straight into this, right? But think about once you've built it, right? Once you built this system, which might take you weeks, months, maybe even a year, right? Your business will be different. It will be different in a way probably nothing else has ever changed it, because now, I mean, that's how we are in our business. Right now, every day, we get 30 leads. Now, it's not like real estate, right? So 30 leads in real estate might be insane, but we get 30 new leads every single day through our paid ads. Those people immediately start to see other things from us after that, and the whole process is automated, right? Now, what we do now, where we spend our time, is we go in and we make adjustments and we run trials and we test things, right? So that's a much better place to be than just simply sort of throwing things at the wall, right? Okay, so we gotta wrap up. I know we're getting towards the end of our hour here, and I do want to, I'll maybe hang around if you do have any questions. You want to stay on for a few minutes. But the last thing I just want to mention really briefly here, if you are looking to do more with your business, I'm sorry, with video in your business specifically, And I'm not going to talk about our school outside of this because this is the best way to come learn all about us. Starting in about a week, I think our first session is literally a week from today. We are doing a 7-day video challenge. Now, what is that? It's going to be, you get 7 days to make and share a video. If you are new to video, we're going to encourage you and show you how to send really simple one-to-one video messages. You sending a message that's just a video of you to a single other person. It's very low pressure. Happy birthday videos is probably the easiest version of that. For those of you that are a little bit more advanced, we're going to give you one of our video recipes that we've developed in our school, and you're going to be able to pick from several, so you'll have some flexibility. You're going to make that video. You're going to distribute it across all of the social platforms where you have a presence, and we're going to track your results and see what kind of impact it has on your business. All right. If that sounds appealing at all, I'm going to put this link in the chat for you right now. Right. This is totally free. Right. You don't have to put a credit card on file or anything like that. It's pretty close to getting a trial experience with Business Video School. There will be prizes, right? So as long as you show up and you participate, you're going to have a chance to win some cool prizes. You're going to have some camaraderie. And if enough of you want to sign up to do this, you can basically compete as a team too, right? So I'll follow up afterwards with all you and see if you wanted to sort of form a team as part of this challenge. But what I'll do here as well is I also have a QR code you can scan. So if it's hard for you to click that link right now, you can alternatively scan this QR code with your phone. It'll take you to the same page, and you can sign up, and you'll be a part of that 7 days. There's 3 total sessions, so it's about a 3-hour commitment across 3 days over those 7 days, with a bonus Q&A session if you need it. All right, so that's all I got. So any questions I can answer for you?
I love it. This was fantastic. I think as many of us should sign up for the 7 days as possible. And those watching, I'll go ahead and send this out, Nick, to everybody. We'll hopefully get a good group. Any
Great.
questions, you guys? We have a couple minutes. Unmute yourself if you do. Or raise your hand. All right. I think this is
Yes,
awesome.
I got
Yeah,
a
Brett.
question.
Yes, Brett.
So awesome stuff. I totally love it. I have bashed my head against the wall with funnels for a while, because I was too strict on each stage and then they just kind of dropped out. So do you consider like the information in the video that you're giving to entice them to go to the next stage, or are you giving away like ebooks at every stage, or like how do you incentivize each stage to have them keep moving forward?
Well, the nice thing is, so the first 2 stages, I'm not giving anything away. I'm just trying to get them to watch the video, right? That's really my only goal there. And the goal is that the video is building the relationship further. That's where that retargeting I showed very briefly at the end is so powerful, right? Because what I can do is I can say, look, you can go all the way down to 3 seconds. So you can say, as long as they saw 3 seconds of this video, show them the next one anyway. So maybe they weren't super interested in your first video, but they saw it, they watched a few seconds. At least your face is in their head now. Doesn't take long for that to happen. Now I can
Right.
continue to kind of follow back up. And then I also show my later stage videos generally to the whole audience as well, right? So I want to guarantee if they watch my first video, they see the second and third, but I'm going to probably show the second and third video to the group as a whole anyway. So that way I kind of have 2 opportunities to get in front of them. What I guess my question for you would be like, when you say you were strict about them going to the next step, was it like they had to click something to go to the next step, or what did that part look like?
Yeah, so I was actually doing SaaS affiliate marketing, and I just recently got my license, so it's definitely a different target demographic, but um just spending a lot of money on software essentially, um for ads. But yeah, I was using ClickFunnels, and I was just trying to
Mm.
learn how to do it, and then it just fell short, ran out of money spending so much on ads. So
Oh, I
um
get it.
I
And I've
got a
been there,
ton from the first stage. I could nerd out on this for way too long, but yeah, I dig it. Do you still like ClickFunnels, or would you prefer like the Facebook process you just showed?
Well, I prefer Facebook. I've used ClickFunnels a little bit, not a ton, so I'm not super familiar with their
Hmm.
more recent version of it. But when I talk about funnels, ClickFunnels very, they have a huge brand, right? And in a lot of ways, they kind of
Hmm.
they kind of got people to equate funnels with ClickFunnels, as if like all
Right,
funnels are websites. And funnels can be anything, right? I mean, marketing, can be
right.
applied, and you could be in person, it could be billboards, whatever you want. I personally, I love video. I think video what cool is about video is that even if somebody doesn't want what you have, that branding is so powerful, right? I mean, in our face is our logo nowadays, right? We almost don't need logos anymore because we can put our faces in front of people so easily. I mean, look what we're doing right now, right? We can see each other. That's pretty cool, right? So that has gotten so easy that it's like, look, all I really care about is that the next time you see something from me, your brain says, hey, I think I know this guy. Where have I seen him before, right? As long as that's happening, the rest is sort of bonus from there in my mind, right? So that's why I like video. I like Facebook. I mean, I think YouTube, we're starting to learn YouTube ourselves ads wise. That could be really powerful too. But really, it's just about the video. As long as it's a video, you're going to be doing things you can't with other kinds of content. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Awesome. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Very
Thank
cool.
you.
This is
Thanks for the questions.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Nick, do we have all of the information we really need to have for you if somebody wanted to reach out to you about more higher level assistance or anything like that? Or should they just go to your Instagram and message you there?
Yeah, I mean, let me put my email in the chat here. That's another good way to get a hold of us. Obviously, we're all over the internet, so you can check out our site, which is in my email address there, bizvideoschool.com. Google Business Video School will pop right up. You can read all our Google reviews, all that good stuff. But I will say, and I'll put this in the chat one more time, this challenge that we're doing here in about a week is by far the best way to learn more about us, right? Because you're going to get to do it for free. There's no commitment. You'll get a special offer for a membership at the end that you can take if you want. But it's a great way to sort of see what it's like to go through our experience. So yeah, I would really encourage you to focus on that, and I'll follow up too to share some promotional materials you can share with other folks. And if there's enough people that want to get involved, we can form a little team.
Yeah, if you would do that, that'd be great. I'm going to send this out along with the recording to all of you that were on the call, but to all the other people. It's also going to be posted in our workplace group, which is 9,500 agents. So I'll have people reach out if they'd want to do a team. Otherwise, we'll just get people signed up for the challenge. And then maybe after the challenge, we could have you in as maybe a follow-up Q&A or something like that. If you're open to that, if we have a lot of people, or if people sign up for some of your services, we can do something additional. But this has been fantastic. Thank you very, very much. I'm excited to get started on this because I'm the person that does a lot of video, but without any intentionality or system. So I'm looking forward to having a system in place. And I think a lot of agents are just like me. So I'm looking forward to that. A lot of my agents do video all the time, but now it's like, what do we do to actually get clients? So thank you so much for being here, Nick. It's great to meet you in person.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for having me.
All right, you guys, I'll send you the recording, Nick, as well. So if you want to chop it up and use it for your own content, you can do that. I'll have everything out to everybody by this evening or tomorrow morning. Thanks for joining me on the call. Have a great day, everyone.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Bye.